Committee voted to not release the report on Gates over these allegations of sexual misconduct. He's denied the allegations. But Congresswoman, you served on the subcommittee on the so-called weaponization of the federal government, as it's called, with Gates. Your thoughts on all of this?
Well, that subcommittee was itself a weaponization of the federal government. But, I mean, Matt Gaetz I've not heard almost anyone who actually has a vote on his nomination come to his defense, tout his qualifications, or suggest that he was the best pick that Donald Trump could put forward. The allegations against him are serious, and I mean, Matt Gaetz, I don't think ever even practiced law, never mind be in charge of the Department of Justice. I mean, someone who was investigated by the Department of Justice and someone who has the kind of allegations against him really should not be the person that the President of the United States has chosen to lead our system of justice. I mean, again, it just continues the theme of a chaos cabinet. RFK Jr., who is an anti-vax conspiracy monger, who recently suggested that we should freeze research on cancer. I mean, as a breast cancer survivor, that really chills my spine. And anyone in America who has either had cancer or has family members with cancer should be really fearful of that nomination. Don't misunderstand me, Jim. I mean, Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz from my home state, Donald Trump has the right to appoint cabinet members that actually are going to take care of America and are qualified. They are qualified, even though I don't agree with them on much, but it's possible for us to work together. Wreaking havoc in the United States of America and jeopardizing our national security, as Tulsi Gabbard and Matt Gaetz both would do, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., to say nothing of Dr. Oz, who is someone who's embraced pseudoscience and who would jeopardize my seniors on Medicare and Medicaid, and really has to be fully vetted before there's a confirmation decision.
But Congressman, and forgive me for pushing back a little bit, I mean, elections do come with consequences, do they not? And if the American people voted for this, isn't this what they get at the end of the day?
They do have consequences, which is why I said someone like Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz, although even though I don't agree with them on a lot, those are responsible picks, people who who have the kind of experience necessary. But keep in mind, this was not a Republican wave. Donald Trump won by about 240,000 votes, out of the blue wall states. The smallest, likely it'll end up the smallest margin of victory in the popular vote for a presidential candidate, and about 1.5%. There's no mandate here, but what there certainly should not be is a blank check to appoint a chaos cabinet like he's done. It's like the Star Wars cantina of cabinets, and it's going to really jeopardize America's safety.
And just finally, I mean, I know you did say that Tulsi Gabbard is likely a Russian asset, and you received backlash for that. What's your response to that?
Just look. I'm not the only one that said that or questioned her alliance with the United States and our interests. I mean, she's a Russian sympathizer. She is someone who has.
Do you think she could be trusted with the nation's secrets? If I may cut in, do you think?
I do not. I do not think that she's someone who can be trusted with the nation's secrets, and I don't think our Five Eyes allies and our allies around the world will trust her with theirs. And that is what will really put America in a very difficult national security situation when we don't have the full trust of our allies that we work with, she's going to put intelligence agents out across the globe, or maybe she won't. Maybe she, because she sympathizes with some of our enemies, will decide not to make sure that we can have real windows of intelligence into what's going on there and make us and put us further in jeopardy. It's unacceptable.
All right, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, thanks as always for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.